So the conversations that we have, they're as long or as short as they are. Just the way it is. I don't script anything, I don't cut for time. I just take you along, we talk about whatever we're talking about, and that's how it's gonna be here on the channel. So take it or leave it. Anyway, with that out of the way, welcome to Animal Kingdom. Welcome to Dinoland USA, and welcome to what is essentially going to be me sitting down and chatting with you about some of the comments and questions that you've left on different discussions and elsewhere in social media in the past, well, probably couple weeks. It's been a little crazy over here. I don't know, like mid-September all the way into right now has just like slipped through my fingers. And this week in particular is gonna be crazy too. I'm gonna be running all over the place. I got some appointments that I have to take care of. Some are already out of the way. And long and short of it being, it's a little nuts over here. And so I thought, what can I do to make sure that I'm covering the topics that I wanna cover, also getting you the answers that you need? Q&A. So let's get into it. I got notes today. Oh yeah, it's very official. It's like pen and paper stuff. Also, we're not going to sit here the whole time. I do want to spend some time wandering around the park, but it's as good a time as any. I got some shade. I actually got a nice cold drink right here. I was going to get an ice cream sandwich, but as it turns out, ice cream sandwich place, Dino Bite Snacks, isn't going to be serving today. Who knew? Now, man, we've had some serious topics to discuss over the past week. We've had Lightning Lane Premier Pass. We've had the new Disney Vacation Club membership enhanced whatever. It's been a lot. And then there's all the stuff going on with Epic Universe. We didn't even talk about any of that yet, but we do need to talk about some of it. We'll touch on some of it today. And you guys have had a lot of great things to say. There's also some things that I want to remind you guys about, maybe clarify. And we're going to start with Tom Sawyer Island. Now, as some of you may have seen, we recently did a trip over to Tom Sawyer Island. I went with my dad. It was a blast. Russ went over to Tom Sawyer Island a little while ago. So he had a chance to share his thoughts with you, but a lot of you had questions about when it's going to close. Now, this is a great question. Unfortunately, it's one that we don't really have a solid answer to yet. And this, shouldn't really take anybody by surprise, especially if you've been hanging out with me, because the Disney's been keeping information like this very close to their chest. So we do know that Tom Sawyer Island will be closing in 2025. That's as much as Disney has told us. But when in 2025, right? Like, are we looking at early 2025, late 2025? Of course, some of you want the opportunity to make your way out here. Maybe you're gonna be doing a vacation. You wanna know if you can say goodbye, maybe experience it for the first time like we did. We don't know. Now, my best guess is that we're looking at early 2025. That's when we're gonna see Big Thunder Mountain Railroad close for at least a year. And while I have absolutely no official information on this, all my own speculation, I would guess that early 2025, right after the holiday rush has kind of fizzled out, maybe even as we get into that like low time around February, that's where we're gonna see Tom Sawyer Island close. But again, nothing official there, just my own speculation. Now, I do also think that there is a possibility that Disney goes the route of closing this early if they run into any issues. So, of course, since it is on the chopping block, if something happens to the island, like there's some sort of an issue, which, happens. I mean, goodness knows, the Boo Crew, who did get a chance to go to Tom Sawyer Island recently, by the way, I can't wait to talk to them about it and hear what they had to say, maybe share some of their thoughts with you. They visited just like 2 days after I went with my dad, and the Barrel Bridge was closed. So I do think that there is the possibility that if something happens to the island, at the island, that they don't want to fix, or that they, they just don't think is worth fixing, they may close it sooner. But again, those are just my thoughts based on things that have happened at Walt Disney World in the past and elsewhere, similar to Walt Disney World in the past. So, there may still be time for you to enjoy Tom Sawyer Island if you haven't had a chance to enjoy it yet, but at some point in 2025, it's going to close forever. Now, the next topic that I wanted to dig into with you is Lightning Lane Premier Pass. This is Disney's newest Lightning Lane offering that they're going to be launching later this month. Man, there is so much that I could say about Lightning Lane Premier Pass. Of course, we did already get into it last week, so if you're interested in hearing all of my thoughts, you can go check that out. One thing that I did want to say though, because, you know, there seems to be a little bit of confusion, and I'm just going to start off by saying, I don't know any more than you do. You know, Disney releases information, I comb through that information, I share it with you, and I share it with the understanding that there's a lot that neither of us know about, in this case, the product that is Lightning Lane Premier Pass. And you know, this is always kind of a tricky thing to navigate because, unfortunately, because Disney doesn't really talk about what their plan is, they just kind of give you the basics. There's a lot of people filling in the blanks and they're making assumptions, and you know, I have my own assumptions as well, you know, but I try and make any assumptions that I share with you, first of all, clearly, like I want you to know, just like I did a second ago, that like I don't know any more than you do, right? But I do have experience and knowledge and an understanding of how these things have basically rolled out in the past. So, you know, I think I know how this is going to roll out in the future. I can at least share that perspective with you. Not everyone does that, you know. Some people speak with an air of authority when they really don't know, and sometimes it's just like not even communicating what has been communicated to us via things like press releases and announcements. That has happened with Lightning Lane Premier Pass. And so I don't know how many of you I'm going to have the opportunity of reaching, but I do want to just take a second and clarify something and make sure that we're all on the same page here and that we're not jumping to conclusions before it's time to jump to conclusions. So one of the things specifically about Lightning Lane Premier Pass that a lot of people are, I don't know if they don't fully understand or if they're choosing to not acknowledge, is that this is the quote pilot rollout, which could mean a few things. Now, generally speaking, the term pilot program generally means like a first run, we'll see how it goes, a bit of a test, which is why I took the position that I did when we had our conversation about this. It also could mean that this is the first phase of this definitely being rolled out. Now, there have been a lot of things that Disney has done over the past. Oh, here come the Discovery, what are they called? The Discovery Island drummers. There they go.
Have a great day!
Okay, where exactly was I? Ah, yes. So I hear this, I hear pilot rollout, and I think, you know what? Maybe this is a test. Maybe it's not a test. Maybe they definitely want to do this. But either way, Disney has backed out of things before, even after they've been announced and they've been given the green light and like the train has started to go down the tracks. So that's where my position on all of this comes from. I'm like, you know, understanding the words, listening to what they're saying, and also understanding how they've done stuff like this before leads me to believe that, like, I don't know, things still feel up in the air to me. But even if they're not up in the air and Disney's like, yeah, we're definitely moving forward with this, again, pilot rollout means something. And to me, that means that this is probably phase one, like I mentioned. So what exactly does that mean? I mean, who knows, right? Because Disney's gonna do what they're gonna do. But generally speaking, I think it's safe to say that, you know, this is the first step. They're gonna release it to a limited number of people. Again, this is all part of what was said in the release that they put out there, in the announcement that they made. And then eventually it's probably gonna roll out to more people. So for all of those out there who are saying like, oh, this is only available to deluxe guests and how exactly is it gonna work logistically? We don't know yet. We just don't know. We also don't know what it's gonna look like until it's fully implemented. Never quite looks right until it's fully implemented, no matter what we're talking about. So we'll just have to wait and see. And I know you don't want to wait. You want to know. I want to know, but no one does. So we're going to take a collective breath, not worry too much about it, and give them some time to flush this out, you know? I'd also like to take a second to remind you once again that social media is a very tricky place. And sometimes people, they just hop on that complain train, say the same things over and over and over and over again. And just because it's repeated repeatedly doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. So keep that in mind, take a breath, and remember, when a new product is rolling out, no one knows exactly how it's going to roll out. We can look at the way things have happened in the past. We can put our hopes in there as well. Of course, there's always plenty of assumptions to go around, but we won't know until we know. So it sucks, but next up, a topic that got all of you talking: Disney Vacation Club having people pay for perks. Holy smokes. This one, I'm gonna be real with you, this one definitely got me heated because honestly, I just had enough, man. I have had enough with all of the DVC nonsense, but you know, there's always something. By the way, we made our way down the ramp to this section of the amphitheater over here. It is so hot though. It's not even a hot day. Like it's beautiful, but there's absolutely no shade and the sun is just, it's just one of the reasons that, I don't know, I think they need to do something over here, but before we evacuate the area, do you remember Kite Tails? I remember Kite Tails. Man, I loved Kite Tails. I know it wasn't a really popular show, but they would launch the kites from right over here. This would have been a great place to sit. I don't know if you could sit over here though. Was this like their crash zone? I don't remember. I have to go back and watch the video. But okay, back to DVC. So you guys had some really interesting things to say. Lots of you feel the same way that I do, that this is just another money grab out of Disney, which I hesitate to say. I know that some people say that all the time, but it's not really my style. With this in particular though, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, yeah, asking members to pay $99 so that they can have perks that used to be free. What do you call that other than a money grab? Well, one of you actually said something that stood out to me. You described it as a bait and switch. And yeah, that's exactly it. You know, for so many of us who bought into DVC decades ago, we were sold more than just a timeshare. It was like a whole experience that included not only the ability to stay in these deluxe level resorts, but also a long list of benefits that kind of incentivized you to vacation at Disney World. You know, things like discounted tickets at times, free tickets, all of these events and perks and extra hours, all these things that were available as part of our membership. And these perks and benefits were honestly, you know, even now, if you look at the Disney Vacation Club website, these perks and benefits that you get when you purchase direct were like the reason to purchase direct as opposed to resale. I mean, they're listed right on the website. So I think that's why so many of us feel like this is just that, a bait and switch. You know, we were told that our membership was going to look a certain way, and then, you know, 20 years into our 50-year contract, oops, we've changed our mind. And this has been happening for some time, right? Like, a number of benefits have changed over the years, which I totally understand. Same with perks. You know, I say benefits, but benefits and perks have changed over the years. And I don't think that any of us were sure that everything would stay the same the whole time. You know, we knew that some things would make way for new things to fill their place. But I don't think that any of us ever anticipated, especially not when we purchased our Disney Vacation Club membership, that we might have to pay for those new things that were going to take the place of the things that we lost. As a little bit of a side note, that menu looked pretty good, but the churros, those smell amazing. I think it's just the cinnamon sugar. I'm on like a cinnamon sugar kick right now. All that having been said, I definitely don't think that there's one Disney Vacation Club member out there who thought that over time benefits would fully disappear, which again has happened up until this point, especially after 2020. It's almost like they hoped that we would have etch-a-sketched our brain and completely forgotten, which maybe some of the members have, but some of us, we haven't. And you know, it's sad. It's disheartening. It's disappointing that this thing that we've already paid so much for is changing so drastically for some of us in the middle of our membership, you know, but that's why I think it's important to communicate these things, especially to newer members, which, by the way, can I just say, I've heard from so many of you specifically related to this topic saying that, you know, this looks like a money grab even to you, even though you've only been a member for a few months. And I'm so glad to hear that. Obviously not glad to hear that this is a money grab, but glad to hear that you're seeing this, because for so long, especially newer members, they weren't. And you know, my hope as a longtime member who really does believe in this product, because I do think that Disney Vacation Club can be an amazing product for the right family. I hope that those of you who notice this and don't like it, not only don't invest in this, but also that you take the time to communicate that you don't like this to Disney Vacation Club. Now, we talk about this every now and again. There is a way to kind of file complaints, if you will. I mean, I guess it's for anything related to your Disney Vacation Club membership, but they do have a form that you can fill out. You can reach out to Disney Vacation Club sharing your comments and concerns about your Disney Vacation Club membership. They actually encouraged us to do this during the last Condo Association meeting, and I'm going to encourage you to do it for this, especially if this is something that you don't like. If you don't like this product, you don't like the direction that Disney Vacation Club is going with this specifically, or with anything, I'm going to have a link in the description box down below that I'm going to encourage you to take a second, check out, share some of your thoughts with DVC via this tool. Or is it a form? Either way, okay? Check the description, click the link. This is gonna take you to the Disney Vacation Club website. You're gonna have to log in. This is only available to members through their Disney Vacation Club portal, if you will. If this is something that you don't like, express your concerns. Express your concerns, because that's the only way that they're gonna know how we feel about this. I know that people are like, well, I just won't buy the product, and okay, but I think that this is gonna take more than that. And again, this is an option that is available to us as Disney Vacation Club members. You might not even realize that it's an option, so now you do. But all right, it's time for us to get into the next topic, and it's a juicy one. Oh yeah, we're talking Epic Universe. Oh my goodness, has there been so much information about Epic Universe coming out in the past, like, few days? And of course, so many of you wanted to know my thoughts on Epic Universe, and you had some questions on previous discussions about Universal and Epic Universe, so I wanted to include that today. Of course, I know some of you are like, hold on, you're at Disney, you can't do that, you're gonna get struck down by the spirit of Walt. It'll be all right. And if not, you'll be the first to know. I mean, you're here with me, so I guess we're going together. So the first thing that I just had to talk about was my Will I Fit series. I had one of you asking if I'm gonna be doing a Will I Fit series over at Epic Universe. For those of you who don't know what my Will I Fit series was, I did this a while back over at both Universal and Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios, sorry, and Islands of Adventure, where I went to all the test seats and I gave them a go, because at the time my waist was 40 inches, which according to Universal Orlando's accessibility guide is the max waist that their attractions are willing, or capable, I should say, of accommodating. And I've gotten a lot of comments on that, you know, people saying like, why did I make this video? Because I clearly like would fit. But my measurements said otherwise. So I wanted to give people an idea of what to expect if they had measurements similar to mine, and my measurements were what they were at the time. So that's why we did that. A lot of people found it helpful, which I am so grateful that those of you out there who were looking for this information were able to get it from me, you know. I know this is a difficult thing for so many of you, but here's the thing with Epic Universe, okay? I've been working a lot on myself. I have been putting in a lot of effort, and my measurements are not the same. In fact, my measurements are currently nowhere near what would be a concern for attractions at Universal Orlando. So I'm happy about this. I've been working really hard, so yay me, but I know that this is a bummer for so many of you who were hoping to get my perspective and, you know, see how someone of my shape, maybe someone of your shape and size, would fit in these new attractions. I'm just not gonna be able to give you the answers that you're looking for. That said, If what you're hoping for is to get a closer look at these test seats and see what they look like, you want me to go give them a try anyway, because that would help you feel more comfortable, let me know. Let me know, and when we do end up going over to Epic Universe, this will be on the top of our list of things to do. Of course, if you happen to stumble onto anybody who does a Will I Fit video at Epic Universe similar to the one that I did, they have measurements that reflect your measurements and you want to share that with others, feel free to put a link in the comments down below, not only here, but over in that Will I Fit series. That's going to help out so many people, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. Now, there were two other main points that I wanted to discuss regarding Epic Universe. The first is related to its impact on Walt Disney World. This is something that I briefly mentioned in one of our past discussions, and at least one of you commented on it, so I wanted to just share some of my thoughts on that. I think that there's a lot of hype around Epic Universe right now, and people are really excited for it. I'm really excited for it, so let me be very clear about that. But I'm not convinced that Epic Universe is going to have the impact on Walt Disney World that so many people think that it will. I've said this before. I think that Universal and Disney work together. They're not competitors in the way that some people think that they are. And I mean, there are a lot of reasons for this. Just the demographic is different, the product is different, and Epic Universe is not going to change that. They're still going to have those thrill rides that are going to cater to an older audience. They're not really adding anything that's going to sway those families that are more likely than not going to go to Walt Disney World because they have really little ones, Also, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. Epic Universe could turn out to be the best theme park in the country, and I would love to see that happen. But if a family is interested in seeing Mickey Mouse and, Belle, I don't care how cool Dark Universe is or the How to Train Your Dragon Land turns out to be. It's apples to oranges. It's a very different thing. And that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that, but the clientele that goes to one place isn't necessarily gonna swing to the other. Certainly not in the way that I think so many of you think that it will. But here's another thing that I think gets overlooked quite a bit, and that is capacity. Now, I'm not going to get into specific numbers here. Google is your friend, so get those fingers working. But Universal Orlando Resort does not have the capacity that Walt Disney World has in any way. So while they are adding another theme park, okay, now they have 3 parks as opposed to 4. And this gets a little tricky because technically Disney has, 4 theme parks and 2 water parks. Universal sometimes describes Volcano Bay, which is their water park, as a theme park. So Epic Universe is technically their 4th park. If that's the case, then Disney has 6 parks. Universal is still behind, okay? No way around that. They don't have the number of hotels. They don't have the number of parks. They don't have the numbers, okay? Which, again, is fine. It's one of the things that I love about Universal, and there is so much that I love about Universal, despite the fact that I haven't really been over there a lot recently. It's just been wild. But while I do think that there's likely to be some people who spend time at Universal that would have otherwise went to Walt Disney World, yeah, sure, why not? I think that if you're not considering other things like capacity, like accessibility, that's another thing that Universal has that kind of, rubs people the wrong way, like accommodating for younger guests. If you're not taking those things into consideration and you're under the impression that Disney is gonna crumble under the pressure of Epic Universe, I would be really surprised if this even shows up on the Richter scale for Disney. Seriously. Also, for the record, I don't think that having this perspective makes me foolish or ignorant or anything like that. It just means that I have this perspective based on any number of things, to include experiences and knowledge that I've gained over the years. And sometimes my opinions, my perspective, it's going to be different from what you hear some other people say, and that's totally fine. I'm just sharing, like I said, my thoughts based on my knowledge and experience. Take it or leave it. as I often say. But you know, one thing you definitely won't see me doing is changing my perspective based on, you know, what other people are talking about, what they think is popular, what they think is the, you know, acceptable take about a particular thing. And I do feel like sometimes that's kind of what's expected, you know? Again, not that that's ever had an impact on me. If I change my mind, it's because I've genuinely changed my mind. And sometimes I do, you know? As your experience changes, as your observations change, sometimes your perspective changes and opinions adjust. And whether or not that happens when it comes to Epic Universe is yet to be seen. Let's take a look at this menu. I know some of you are like, seriously, Kat? Seriously. But I hear they have a mean breakfast. The breakfast menu's over there. But this is calling my name. I am so hungry right now, and I still have to go to the grocery store after I leave. What am I gonna do, Frog? What am I gonna do? All right, made our way out of the park. Tummy's grumbling. Now, we're gonna head back to the Jeep and then to Publix. Told you, gotta do some grocery shopping. But there's one more thing I wanted to talk to you about. And fortunately, we've got all the time in the world till we get back to the Jeep. Way back in Peacock. All right, I might be a little over dramatic. It's not that far back today, but still, always feels far, you know? Anyway, with all the chatter about Epic Universe, there's been a lot of people saying things that are just glowing about Universal and Epic Universe. And look, I love Universal. I'm very excited for Epic. I've said that multiple times already today. But one of the reasons that you aren't hearing me gush over Epic Universe at this time is because Epic Universe, it isn't real yet. Let me explain. See, look, I know that Epic Universe is right around the corner. I know that it is an actual place that will be opening up, but it's in the future. It hasn't happened yet. And so I am always very careful when it comes to things like this because concepts and reality very rarely match up. And Epic Universe, Universal in general, is not immune to this. You know, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things, just like you have, I'm sure. So many of them talking about how this or that is going to be the best thing ever. And hopefully, maybe, but we just don't know as of yet. And while some people, like their whole thing is speculation, for me, I'm here helping you figure out how to vacation, giving you my thoughts on things that are real, on things that are happening right now. And unfortunately, Epic Universe hasn't happened yet. So how am I supposed to give you my honest opinion of it? I can't. And truthfully, neither can anyone else. No one knows what they're talking about yet, you know? Like, as cool as this concept art or concept videos are, it's still just a concept. And as much as some of the people who are working on Epic Universe might have to say, they're trying to get you excited so that you go to Epic Universe, you know? I'm more interested in what it actually looks like when it officially opens. And more than that, I'm interested in how it looks once it's already in use, you know? Like, not opening day when everything is shiny and new, like a month later, after people have had the opportunity to use it. Anything that might fail has failed. Because that, at least in my opinion, based on my experiences, is gonna be the most honest look at Epic Universe. Just like it's the most honest look at anything we get here at Walt Disney World. I mean, look at Epcot. That was supposed to be epic, you know, I'm just saying. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Those are my answers to some of your questions. Of course, this is a conversation. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about all the stuff that we talked about here today. And you know what, anything else, let me know how your day's been. Let me know, you know, you excited for Epic, you excited for anything else, tell me all about it. But yeah, it's time for me to go to the grocery store. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. And I look forward to hanging out with you guys again soon. Don't worry, some fun adventures are on the way. Also some Universal adventures. Like I said, it's been a crazy month, but we're making it work. Until then, bye guys.